versus Justin Gaethje. It seems like we've been waiting forever for this fight, and ever since Justin knocked off Tony, and now that fight was supposed to happen, Tony and Khabib. Now Justin and Khabib is happening. Finally, it's going to happen. This is such a great fight. I really enjoyed both of them performing, and just what Justin Gaethje has done recently, what he did against Tony Ferguson, I was outstanding. Like he just graduated. It's like a master class in striking. That's what it was for me. You put on display. How did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, Gaethje also came back from two hard losses, Alvarez and Poirier. And to take out Tony Ferguson was very impressive. Ferguson had only lost one time to Michael Johnson like 8 years ago. And he had beaten basically everybody. So not only did he beat him, he out-toughed them, showing us just how much grit he has, how much improvements he's made. It was a statement win. Gaethje now, though, is going to have to prove his talents as a wrestler. Remember, he actually was an All-American. He was one of the ones that stood on the podium as an All-American. He's always touted his wrestling skills, and he has them. It's just that he likes kicking you and punching you better and then flipping off the stage when he's done with it. It makes him exciting, and I think that's something that he has grown to love. But in this fight, he's going to have to use the wrestling. One of two ways I'm curious. Obviously, takedown defense is going to be important. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to get taken down, and if he does, he wants to get up quickly. But I'm curious, what if he puts Khabib on his back, and maybe chooses to ground and pound him, instead of just getting back to the feet and striking. And let's not discount Khabib either. Khabib, in the Conor McGregor fight, he knocked down Conor McGregor, and he actually stood with Conor McGregor at times during that fight. So the same way Justin Gaethje, has developed as a fighter and evolved as a fighter, I'm sure Khabib has also done the same thing. And so you can't take that for granted. Excuse me. In the end, it's so hard to go against Khabib. Not only has he never lost a fight, he rarely loses rounds. Yeah. And his recipe is just to take you up, tie your legs up, hold you down, get into dominant positions where he's dominating your hips. They call them, like the mounts, just really, really dominant positions. Sometimes also side control up against the cage. He'll get you in a seatbelt, trapping your arm, and he'll just beat you up and like it's like he steals your soul a little bit every round. Yes. Now, Justin Gaethje is one of those guys that says, I like to be taken into dark places in his camp and in this fight. So you're not going to break that guy. The only thing you can do is beat him up until they say, well, 25 minutes is up. The fight's over. But it doesn't seem like you can actually get him to quit or break. He might just take damage every fight and lose 10-9, rendering a 50-45 score, maybe. Or what? Or maybe he gets maybe he stops some takedowns. Maybe he sprawls. Maybe he has wrist control and he's able to circle out. Maybe he gets underhooks and mitigates damage. Who knows, And if he does and he can keep it standing and then maybe start whacking away at those legs, throwing his hands, man, I'm telling you, this could be a barn burner of a fight.
Yes.
All going to be dictated on, can Gaethje stop the takedown? I think that's the number one thing right there that's going to tell us early on, When Conor McGregor fought Khabib, that first round, he pretty much nullified Khabib. He allowed Khabib to win to win the round 10-9, but he also defended well, Yeah. And I think had he done that again, because remember he won round 3, had he done that again, I just wonder if it would have gotten into Khabib's head, Right. Man, I'm telling you now. Poirier, on the other hand, he got taken down rather easily. I don't want to blast Poirier because he was coming off some hip surgeries and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Every time Khabib fights, I think you can get some intel on him, and hopefully Justin and his team have done their homework because I just want to see a great fight, Now, let's talk about the odds. The odds obviously have Khabib as the favorite. I would probably be remiss to not take Khabib, just because, again, he just hasn't shown us many holes that he can even be stopped. And until it happens, you almost have to ride somebody like that. You almost have to ride Israel and Jones and Khabib. You know, when they get on these rolls, man. You know, as a gambler, it's hard to go against them unless the odds get in the 300s, 400s, 500s. Then you just sit it out and enjoy it as a fan. But we'll see, man. Sometimes when I'm chasing, like when I'm down, say, okay, I need the underdog and an early knockout, and I'll just partner those two up together. And it's helped before. It's rescued me. But I think right now Khabib's the play.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm actually telling people to pick him by submission. I think he's going to win this fight by submission.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's how he beat. Yeah, that's how he beat McGregor. You know, yeah. I mean, Khabib doesn't even care. Khabib doesn't care if he's like on the Sports Center top 10 highlights or anything like that. All he cares about is winning. And I bet you it's going to be really, really emotional to fight for the first time without his dad.
Yes.
Not necessarily in his corner, because he hasn't been in his corner for all his fights, but just having been a part of his camp and knowing that obviously he can't go back to Dagestan and celebrate it with him. And then I think a cousin of his just got COVID-19. So that's probably a lot to go through, you know. All of us, you and I, we're going through a lot during the pandemic.
I know.
We're all going through a lot, but
exactly.
You and I had to go through a camp. But I bet you it's going to be one of his most proudest wins. Remember, they're unifying the titles.
Yes.
Interim against Undisputed. So it's going to be pretty special for Khabib if he can defend.
I think so as well. And I'm going with that submission just because how he submitted Poirier, how he submitted, you know, he just drains the guy. He doesn't just like, okay, he caught him, he was lucky. You know, like Fedor, you know, some of his finishes, they were luck, you know, back in the day. But this is going to be he just drains, wears the guy down, like his battery level, his energy level is depleted, and he goes for that finish.
He does. He's amazing. He's, I think, underrated by many. And it happens because when you look at the GOATs of the sport, you usually obviously look towards the champions and then their title defenses. Jones and Johnson have 11 each. GSP had 9. Anderson had 10, or vice versa. Aldo had 7. I think Nunes on 6. You know, Khabib hasn't joined that company yet, but he's slowly getting there. I think this will be number 4 for him. So, but that 0 next to his in the L column, that's amazing. Almost, what is he? Right. Almost, you know, man, if he wins this fight, I think.
I think he's 26-0, I believe, because he was 24-0 before his last one. Or he's already 26, so he's 27. I'd have to look it up.
For sure, he's made it to 28-0, I believe. So he's either going to be 29-0 or 30-0. That's the part I don't know.
You're right. He's 28-0.
Okay, so he'll be 29-0. Yeah, and I wonder, man, this could be a guy that could care less about title defense records. You know, he may. Right. I don't know. Khabib strikes me as a little different in regards to fame and popularity. I could see him either fighting another 5 times. Or maybe 2 more, counting this one, and just exiting at 30-0. You know, I bet you a lot of fighters took a look at what Henry Cejudo did and said, "Hey, salute Henry, that good for you." You know what I mean? Now that said, I think Henry's going to come back. But when he caught us all off guard, I think a lot of us just said, "Wow, like he really had a great run. He won 2 titles in 2 different weight classes." One of them against the GOAT, Demetrius Johnson. And to be fair, they're 1-1. And then one of them against one of the best bantamweights ever. You know, he defended the flyweight against one of the best bantamweights ever, TJ Dillashaw. Right. But he still beat him. He beat Marlon Moraes. And then Dominic Cruz was a title defense. So he had 2 title defenses in both weight classes. Cruz is one of the GOATs. Johnson's one of the GOATs. And he just felt like, I'm good. You know, I don't need to break any records. Yep. I'm just going to exit with all my marbles, or at least most of my marbles. I got a girl, and I'm going to go do other stuff. You know, I've been training since I was 6, I think is what he said, because he had that decorated wrestling career. State champ in high school, skipped college, won a gold medal. Amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. It's crazy to think about, what he's done in that time.
Yeah, and then there's some fighters that stick around too long, and it just doesn't sit right with them. It's interesting how fighters have their exit from the sport and how that impacts them going forward as human beings.
True. And one thing we didn't mention is Michael Chandler is on Fight Island.
He is. So he steps in for either guy. If he steps in for Gaethje, he would be fighting for the undisputed title, provided they both make weight. Well, no, actually, I guess even if Khabib didn't, I bet you the title would be up for Chandler. That's something the UFC's been doing lately. And if Khabib couldn't go for whatever reason, then I guess Gaethje would be defending his interim title. I don't think the UFC would make them fight for the undisputed title unless Khabib were to have some sort of an injury where we know he's going to be out for another 9 months to a year. Then maybe they would do that. But I don't think that. I mean, we obviously don't want that to happen.
Right.
But yeah, he's there. He's there at Fight Island. He's going through everything everybody else went through. All of the quarantine process, the weight cut process, and I heard he's getting paid very well for it. So God bless him.
Yeah, same here. And obviously he could be the number one contender coming after this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, not probably won't be a number one contender. I still think what will have to happen is this is just a special opportunity because Poirier and Ferguson weren't able to somehow get on that card and have, the UFC really wanted, some insurance for this card. So I think, coming out of this, more than likely he'll have to fight Tony since Poirier seems likely to fight Conor. And then should he beat Tony, then he may have taken this huge leap and become a number one contender. But as long as you have Conor McGregor around, and if he can beat Poirier, it might be tough to not book Conor versus Khabib too, even if Khabib puts his foot down. Khabib doesn't want to give him that chance. Every time he warms up to it, Conor does or says something that makes Khabib say, no, I think the latest were, you could pay me $5 billion and I still wouldn't coach against him on tough. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows, right? But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And we